Well, Nigel Farage calls UKIP Success a sea change in British politics, and certainly county halls across England now have an unmistakably purplish twinge. Whether those victories can be translated into actual seats here at Westminster is another matter. But already the party is influencing the national agenda, with David Cameron promising to focus more on UKIP bugbears like welfare and immigration. And when you examine the results in detail, it is clear why all the parties are now paying attention to those previously dismissed as fruitcakes. In total, elections have been held for 27 English county councils, 7 unitary authorities and the Isles of Scilly and Anglesey. All ballots have been counted and the Conservative Party has lost 335 council seats, now holding a total of 1,116. Labour has benefited most from Tory losses, more than doubling their seats to 538. The one-time party of protest, the Liberal Democrats, haven't fared well either. They have 352 seats, a loss of 124. The Greens added 5 councillors to their previous tally of 17. So what of the party of the moment? Well, UKIP have won 147 council seats. That's an increase of 139. As a share of vote, current estimates suggest that the Conservatives now have 25%, Labour 29% and the Lib Dems 14%. UKIP looks set to have won a significant 23%. In terms of council control, this is what the electoral map looked like yesterday. Now the Conservatives have lost control of 10. 2, Derbyshire and Nottinghamshire, went to Labour, while the other 8 have no overall control. Well, David Cameron says his party will work hard to win back disaffected voters who jumped ship to UKIP, as our political editor Gary Gibbon reports. And a warning, there is flash photography from the beginning of this report.
I tell you what, I've been up half the night. This is absolutely marvellous.
Lapping it up, Nigel Farage's UKIP supporters gave the main parties a giant V sign in the English County Council elections. And they did so in numbers few had predicted. UKIP took the bulk of its new support from the Conservatives. It seriously ate into Labour and Lib Dem support too.
Really what last night's about, it's about Shire England saying we don't really get the 3 parties here in Westminster, the establishment. They're not speaking the same language as us. They don't understand what their policies have done to our lives.
The UKIP surge stung David Cameron into withdrawing his past attack on UKIP as closet racists, fruitcakes and loonies.
You once called UKIP fruitcakes. Do you still stand by that?
Well, look, it's no good insulting a political party that people have chosen to vote for. Of course, they should be subject, and they will be subject to proper scrutiny of their policies and their plans. But we need to show respect for people who've taken the choice to support this party, and we're going to work really hard to win them back.
He's already started on that project, trying to stem future Tory losses by giving a green light to a Commons vote on an in-out referendum on Europe soon. His team will try to focus on more strident messages on welfare and immigration. For some defeated Tory councillors, it's not enough.
I've been watching the news today and I see the same old politicians being trawled out, all saying the same things. It's a protest vote, here today, gone tomorrow, and they're just not listening, still not listening.
And to those councillors and Tory MPs and ex-councillors who would like a change of leadership now, so what's your message to them?
You're in a very, very small group and you're wrong.
So how could UKIP Success yesterday translate in a general election? Last time these councils were contested in 2009, UKIP got about 15% of the vote. 1 year later, in a general election, that was squeezed down to 5%. This time round, it looks like their share of the vote in the same councils could be 23%. If that came down by 10% like last time, by no means a foregone conclusion. In the 2015 general election, the Tories in particular could be struggling to maintain majorities across a swathe of seats.
We are a truly one-nation party, showing we can represent the whole of the United Kingdom.
Well, up to a point. There were some advances for Labour in the south of England, where voters ran away from Gordon Brown in the last general election, but not the sort of numbers to convince that Ed Miliband's strongly on course to a general election outright victory. We had a look to see how Labour was performing in the constituencies where it needs to win to get an overall majority in the next general election. Seats like Nuneaton, South Derbyshire, Worcester, Harlow in Essex. In the mid-90s, Labour was anything between 20 and 45 points ahead of the Tories in these council elections, in these seats. This time round, they're narrowly ahead by 1 or 2% in two of them. In Worcester and South Derbyshire, they're a point behind the Tories.
12,000. Labour did win the parliamentary by-election in Ed Miliband's brother David's old seat, South Shields. But even here, UKIP was on the march, second place, where they'd never had much of a presence before. The Lib Dems didn't suffer the catastrophic losses they had in the last two sets of local elections, but they slipped back, and UKIP hurt them too. The other party leaders will now try harder than ever to connect with the parts of the electorate. This man refreshes, and they don't.
Well, in a moment I'll be talking to senior representatives from the main parties, well, including UKIP now, with that particular phrase. But in just about every constituency where they stood, UKIP attracted 1 in 4 voters. Nigel Farage was keen to trumpet the party's rise in the Labour heartland of South Shields. But where did UKIP make its most significant gains? In Lincolnshire County Council, it is now the main opposition party after winning 16 seats, ensuring the Conservatives lost overall control. Further south, the party won its first ever seats in Hampshire, now holding 10, while in Essex it picked up 9. Although the Conservatives have kept overall control in both of those councils. It's Kent, though, where Nigel Farage lives, that UKIP had its greatest gains with 17 seats. Conservatives still have control there, but that won't stop UKIP celebrations tonight.